Hello class. Today, right now we're going to look at how to edit the timeline for your Explorer. So a timeline is a series of important events, and you have to make sure you put them in order, right? So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to click on the Explorer that you're researching, and then you can add to the timeline and figure out those important events that you need to record. So I'll click on Neil Armstrong, that's the Explorer that I'm working on, and you'll notice that underneath the information section, there's a section for timeline. So I'm going to click on the link underneath timeline, and that's going to open up a Google spreadsheet. Now, because a timeline has to be sequential, it has to be put into order, I'm going to click on the first available row. You'll notice that the spreadsheet is organized into columns. I've got start date, then end date, headline, text, and so on across the top. The start date is important. You need to do that. You need to have a start date for any important event that you add to the timeline. For Neil Armstrong, his story begins when he was born. So I'm going to type in his date, his birth date, which happens to be August 5th, 1930. Now, if you don't know the exact day your Explorer was born, don't worry about it. Just type in the year. Okay, so 1930. That will be fine. Now, there's no end date for his birthday. Neil Armstrong did pass away, but I'm going to make that a whole separate event. So, for headline, since it's his birthday, I'm going to type in Neil Armstrong was born. Now, text is any other information that you want to add about this important event. So for Neil Armstrong, I can say where in the United States perhaps he was born. And he was born in a town in Ohio called Wapakoneta. Now, let's say you have something that took place over a period of time. Now, I happen to know that Neil Armstrong flew 7 times in the special experimental plane between 1960 and 1962. I don't know the exact days that he flew those things, but I do know that there were this period of 2 years where Neil flew this experimental plane. So I'm going to type in just the year, because that's all I know. So 1960. And his end date was 1962. So between those 2 years, Neil Armstrong flew 7 times. And look what happened. Now on my page, instead of a blank page there, I have the timeline of my special Explorer. Okay? That's how you start your timeline. When the student who is working on the top is done with adding the main data points, they can join you in the timeline, and you can have more than one teammate working on that timeline at the same time. Thank you very much. Have fun today.